From the great city of Teotihuacan to the many secrets of the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, and from the mysterious Codex Mendoza to the gory skulls at Tzompantli, these archaeological discoveries in Mexico frighten scientists. Mexico is known for being home to the great civilizations of the Aztecs and the Mayans. Being great takes a lot of sacrifices, and these civilizations took sacrifices and worshiped their gods, destroying almost every other civilization that crossed paths with them and amassing wealth to match. The remains of the Aztecs and Mayans hold a lot of secrets and mysteries in Mexico. We dive into these mysteries with the ancient city of Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan, Mexico's ancient metropolis, is one of the world's greatest mysteries. That's because we don't know anything about the people who created Teotihuacan, or the people who lived there, or what caused this once powerful city-state to fall apart. To be honest, we have no idea what this historic settlement's true name is. Around 400 BC, the region surrounding Teotihuacan was populated. Between 100 and 250 AD, enormous progress was made, with numerous famous pyramids such as the Pyramid of the Sun and Moon being completed. Around 400 AD, the civilization achieved its pinnacle. The city was pillaged and reduced to ashes in the 700s. It's difficult to say if the pandemonium was precipitated by a local rebellion against the ruling class or an exterior invasion. Teotihuacan, on the other hand, was abandoned forever after that. Nobody knows what happened to the ancient Teotihuacanos. Teotihuacanos vanished totally from the Earth's surface, unlike Mayans and Aztecs, who continue to exist among us with their customs and rituals. Many gods were worshipped at Teotihuacan, including Tlaloc, the rain god, and Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. The most respected deity in Teotihuacan, however, appears to be the legendary figure known as the Great Goddess or Spider Goddess. Teotihuacan's culture was lost to the world because there was no written or oral history. The ancient city is Mexico's most visited tourist site. We start our list of archaeological discoveries with Teotihuacan because of the vast majority of secrets and treasures the city holds, some of which we will see later in our video, so don't go anywhere yet. Temple of Quetzalcoatl. This monumental temple that sits at the city center is the most important archaeological structure in Mexico. Also referred to as the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, this temple looks like something right out of an Indiana Jones classic. The temple has it all, from beautiful decorations to elaborate stone carvings, and from sacrifice altars to stake heads that litter the stone walls. Now, what was the Temple of Quetzalcoatl for? The Temple of the Feathered Serpent served as both a religious and political center. Teotihuacan's kings were not simply men's leaders, they were also the city's spiritual leaders. Powerful families are supposed to have lived in the two homes around the pyramid. The dual symbolism is thought to depict the deity's dual nature. Being feathered signifies its divine nature or capacity to soar, to reach the heavens, while being a snake represents its ability to slither on the earth. Feathers symbolize the ability to travel between realms. At the pyramid, 200 or more sacrifice graves were discovered, which are thought to have taken place as part of the temple's consecration. The graves are arranged in a variety of positions, the meaning of which is unknown. While both men and women are buried here, the males outweigh the females. The corpses were accompanied by the remnants of weapons and accessories, such as necklaces made of human teeth, which led scholars to believe they were warriors, most likely serving Teotihuacan rather than being captured by enemy forces. The quality of the burial items often improves as you get closer to the pyramid's center. Although there is no sign of a dead king or any evident focal point, at least 3 levels of rank have been discovered. The Temple of Quetzalcoatl has obviously attracted a large number of tourists and archaeologists, and by a stroke of luck, a team of archaeologists led by archaeologist Sergio Gomez Chavez found a mysterious tunnel within this great temple. The Tlaloc 2TC, a remote-controlled robot with an infrared camera and a laser scanner that creates 3D images of the regions beneath the temple, was used to investigate the tunnel. The robot was able to access a section of the tunnel that had not previously been dug, and discovered 3 rooms between 100 and 110 meters from the entrance. Deep in the tunnel, the archaeologists found hundreds of mysterious spheres lighting up a section of the tunnel. The mysterious balls were shining gold, and it was only after proper examination that they were found to be fool's gold. The balls were found strategically placed in several parts of the tunnel, so we know that they're not naturally occurring. However, the purpose of this tunnel or the gold balls is still unknown. What do you think they were used for? Maybe this was where the special human sacrifices were kept before they were actually, sacrificed. The Codex Mendoza. Aztec kings. The founding of the legendary city of Tenochtitlan. Conquest and war. These are only a few of the topics covered in the interesting Codex Mendoza manuscript from the 16th century. The narrative of the Codex's construction and subsequent history, including how it made its way to Europe and was kidnapped by French pirates before ending up in the Bodleian Library in Oxford, is absolutely fascinating, and we'd cover only a little bit of it. Between 1535 and 1550, Antonio de Mendoza, the first viceroy of Mexico, commissioned the Codex Mendoza, which was completed in 1542. It was established barely 20 years after Spanish soldiers conquered Mexico, allowing the authors to convey knowledge about the pre-conquest Aztec Empire. De Mendoza intended the Codex to be a present to Emperor Charles V of Spain, who would use it to learn more about his new people. It was painted on European paper and bound in the European way, but the illustrations were designed and painted by Aztecs in the style of the area. The inscriptions, on the other hand, were written in Spanish by a priest who spoke Nahuatl, the Aztec language. As a result, he was able to ask questions regarding the paintings in order to offer the emperor comprehensive explanations in Spanish. The first page of the Codex depicts Tenochtitlan's foundation on an island in Lake Texcoco. According to legend, the Mexica tribe, or Aztecs as we know them now, would come upon an eagle perched atop a cactus growing out of a stone. The sun deity, Huitzilopochtli, promised the Mexica that they would know where to build their city when they saw this. The persons around the eagle in the Codex illustration reflect the city's 10 founders. Tenoch, the lord for whom the city was named, is depicted exactly to the left of the eagle. The Mexican flag still has a variant of this motif, with the eagle perched on a cactus sprouting out of a rock. Tzompantli. Thousands of human skulls were reportedly used to construct fortifications in ancient Mexico. When Spanish troops and explorers first arrived in Mesoamerica in the 16th century, they discovered a plethora of new items, including tzompantli, a wooden structure used to exhibit human heads. Tzompantli means skull rack, wall of skulls, or skull banner in Aztec. While the existence of these racks is unquestionably gruesome, archaeology has benefited greatly from their discovery. We now know about the ritual of human sacrifice the Aztecs undertook to create the tzompantli and how human heads were processed before being impaled on the racks, thanks to histories documented in the 16th century and forensic research of the skulls. The Aztec tzompantli were made out of wooden beams with skulls impaled in rows on horizontal poles, similar to a huge abacus made out of human heads instead of beads. The skulls placed on these racks were taken from human sacrifice victims or warriors who perished on the battlefield. The Great Skull Rack at Tenochtitlan, the Aztec Empire's capital, was the most renowned of these constructions. The Great Skull Rack was a massive, though horrifying, structure that contained tens of thousands of skulls. According to one account, more than 80,000 people were sacrificed to celebrate the dedication of the Great Temple of Mexico, Tenochtitlan, and their skulls were used to erect the Great Skull Rack. These skulls were routinely switched out and replaced with new human heads during human sacrifice ceremonies. Surprisingly, the act of human sacrifice may also be viewed as a form of manual work. Because the persons in charge of the slaughter became weary, the Aztecs worked in shifts during the human sacrifice rites. For the sacrifice, the prisoners would form a line at the tzompantli and the king will begin sacrificing the prisoners until he was tired. Then Tlacelo would take over the sacrificial knife and begin carving off hearts until he too was exhausted. After Tlacelo had stopped, the god's surrogates proceeded to sacrifice the captives until all had been slaughtered. In 1962, researchers discovered 170 skulls with their mandibles still connected and big holes on both sides of the cranium at the temporal and parietal regions during an excavation in Tenochtitlan's twin city, Tlatelolco. The holes and groupings of 5 skulls showed that they had originally been exhibited on a Tzompantli. Because of the expert cutting techniques employed to generate huge holes in the temporal bones without destroying the skull, Pijoman and Laurie suggest that specialists deflesh the skulls of the bodies. It's hard to believe, but arranging skulls on a skull rack was once a profession for the Aztecs, who sacrificed hundreds of thousands of people at a time. What a rush! And if you like this video, you would love our video where we travel to the Amazon to uncover alien sightings and discoveries in the large South American rainforest.